Every yard, every hit, every second. It's earned out here. This game demands more than just skill. It demands fuel. The right fuel. Because out here, it's not just about how hard you work. It's about how long you keep going. When the game gets real, drink bottle still.
Connor, we thought our season was done at the Yates Cup. The Laurier Golden Hawks had other ideas. They have moved on now to play back in OUA territory with the Vanier Cup this weekend in Kingston. What's
Going
going
back to
on?
Limestone City. Hey, cue up the Wolf of Wall Street meme. We're not effing leaving yet. We're not leaving yet. Um, no, we're not done yet. Neither is Laurier. There's still one more game to play. And yes, Wade, in OUA territory, as for the second straight year, the Vanier Cup will find its way to the Limestone City. Same venue, different teams as the Laurier Golden Hawks and the Laval Rouge et Or will be meeting in Kingston to decide who takes home that trophy.
Okay, stop me if you've heard this before, but Taylor Elgersma threw more touchdowns than he did incompletions in the entirety of the day. Kind of
Wade,
seems like a recurring theme for this gunslinger, two-time OUA MVP, Laurier Golden Hawk quarterback. He's just on fire. Is it that easy to sum up? He is on fire.
there's no other way to put it. There's absolutely no other way to put it. I tweeted it out. I don't know if you saw it before the game though. I said that he was putting up video game numbers, and that was just in 2 games played. He goes out and adds to this one with an incredible national semifinal, throws for 450 and change, has 5 touchdowns on the day. And Wade, he pushes his numbers up to now he pushes his numbers up to now 1,106 passing yards, 12 passing touchdowns in 3 games. In 3 games, he's throwing like 4 touchdowns a game and almost 370 yards a game.
Okay, now what I want to focus on here, because Taylor has gotten spotlight last year and this year, and I know like we shouldn't be shying away from someone because they've gotten spotlight more often than not. But if I had told you going into this playoff stretch run, hey, Laurier's not going to have Raiden Thorne. Off the top, you would have been like, damn, that's a huge loss for them. I wonder how teams are going to then slant coverage towards Ethan Jordan. Am I right or wrong?
I absolutely would have to agree with you on that one. I think that when you see Raiden Thorne go down, Ethan Jordan has been automatic is one of the top options, if not the top option for Laurier this year. But yeah, the eyes certainly go to him when you hear when you hear a guy like Raiden Thorne is not going to be in the lineup.
Now, the emergence of a young Ryan Hughes has
Massive.
filled that void and then some. I think we could say, Connor, right? Because Raiden makes a lot of plays, but teams are expecting him to make those big plays. And with him out, everyone just kind of assumed that it would be more Ethan Jordan and the other guys would just kind of piece in around it. No. Ryan Hughes this last weekend, Connor, 8 catches, 212 yards, and 3 touchdowns. 2 of these catches were monstrous gains. One was I think a 50 plus or 60 plus yarder. And then he, of course, had the 70-yard touchdown. Connor, I think this added dimension of Ryan Hughes being that similar body type to Raiden Thorne, but
Mhm.
someone who can play out of that true X or boundary wide out position has been huge for them because it lets Ethan Jordan continue to work. Jace Atkins and Jackson Stebbings can work the slot, and Laomi can continue to make plays out as the Z receiver. Hughes has unlocked a dimension that Raiden Thornton brought, but it seems like it's been taken to a new level. And it's been game after game after game. We saw him have a good impact against Queens, good
Mhm.
impact against Western, good impact against Bishops. I think he is the number one threat to demolish this Laval team. And I know you're sitting here with Ethan Jordan, who's a 1,000-yard receiver going, why isn't he? Well, Ethan Jordan gets a lot of his in intermediate catches or on bubble screens, as we saw this last week, avoiding high pressure from Bishops. Ryan Hughes can be crossers, verticals, screens, hooks, slants, like low crossers. He seems to have, just the nature of where he's lined up, more open to him and more of a vertical presence in that Laurier offense that Coach Galloway has been masterfully calling these last few weeks.
No, absolutely. And if you go back and look at the tape on some of these Ryan Hughes routes, touchdowns aside, I think that when the eyes go to Ethan Jordan, when you're playing these coverages that force you to put more bodies, put more eyes on the likes of Ethan Jordan, the Laurier Golden Hawks offensive scheme has done a great job of calling and dialing up the beater routes for Ryan Hughes in these schematics, in the sense that, okay, let's put two bodies on Ethan Jordan, or let's make sure that we're bracketing Ethan Jordan in such a way. Ryan Hughes is then able to kind of slide into the soft spots in these coverages and find success there. So they've done a really good job of kind of using Ethan Jordan to work Ryan Hughes open.
And one more thing I do want to say on this Laurier offense before we move on. A huge credit to having a plan of attack, seeing the unexpected from Bishops, which was, hey, we're just going to all out pressure you, and we're going to show you this flat top or storm look and go after you time after time after time. And yeah, we may drop out, but we're going to make this count, and blocking scheme as hard for you guys as possible. Now, I think the Laurier coaching staff did a really good job early, Connor, of, hey, if they're all out pressuring us, we may not be able to run our power game yet. Here's what we're going to do. We see the look, get it out wide, use our speed, outflank the defense. And as you saw them start to work the screen game, the quick extended run game, as you often hear commentators call it, where they're not running the ball, but the ball's getting caught behind or at the line of scrimmage with lots of blockers. It's almost like they've ran a toss play. And when you saw them start to have success there, Bishops then had to go, we can't live and die in this zero pressure or zero safety high look. We have to start rolling out coverages and 4 or 5 man pressures instead of sending 7. And from there, you just saw Laurier explode, because once they have you playing the game you didn't want, they know they can dictate what they're getting.
Yeah, dude, on the ground, I thought they were super, super impressive. 163 yards total. They had, I think it was like just over 7 or around 7 yards per carry, which is great there. But specific to the run game, Tanner Nelms has another solid day. But let's talk about your guy, the jitterbug, Tayshawn Jackson, 11 carries, 81 yards in this one. He's been so impressive through this playoff run. So what'd you like from him in this Uteck Bowl?
The fact that no team wants to kick the ball to anyone on the Laurier Golden Hawks, because when you go to kick off, he is such a deterrent in the back line, and having a guy like Ethan Jordan or Ryan Hughes with them is so scary for teams to even think of, that he didn't have a kick return. And in fact, Laurier themselves, Connor, only had 5 kickoff return yards, because there were a lot of moonshots where you're just catching it going down, catching a secure possession. I think the fear that he puts into teams in the return game is more of an impact than we see with him carrying the rock or being utilized as a receiver. And he's had 2 huge touchdowns in both games. I think he scored the first touchdown for Laurier in each of their last 2 games, but he is such a threat that teams are avoiding him entirely in the return game, and it is such a plus to Laurier to have that threat back there. It's not close to the output, but similar to when Tunde Adeleke played with Carleton. If you kicked to him, you knew you were in trouble. And he's not popping off the massive touchdowns like Tunde did, but it's starting to build to that level where teams have just avoided him outright on kickoffs. That's what's impressed me most about him.
Absolutely. No, it's hard to disagree with what he brings to this Laurier offense, or the Laurier team in general. He's just a bolt of electricity. One more thing I want to talk about with this team, with this game. The third phase in this one, the Laurier defense, I thought that they brought something to this game that really allowed them to find success. Their defense had 3 sacks on the day. They had 1 interception, 4 PBUs. They were all over the field, just making noise, getting in the backfield, making things uncomfortable. Yeah. You can point to the stat sheet and go, Bishop's put up 400 yards. Sure, yeah. So what? I think for the most part, Laurier held them off the board. We saw Bishop score, a couple late in the game when things didn't really matter so much. But I think the way that Laurier played in this one, just the willpower up front of their defensive line. They did a lot of things that impressed me in this game, and it attributed to capturing a Uteck Bowl here.
Yeah, and to not know whether you were getting O'Shea Hosang or not after he missed almost a month of action for the Gators, to see one of the nation's best running backs show up on game day and have a big impact. Like he was a threat early, and it was clear that when he stepped on the field, the RPO game with Justin Curion came alive for Bishops. I thought they had a ton of success, just kind of playing with the linebackers of Laurier, and where you are not is where we are going. And Laurier was able to rebound. Like, I don't know if they saw an offense all year in the OUA that ran that high of a volume of RPOs, but Bishop certainly tried to, and where it had some success early, they bent, they didn't break, all of those cliches about 7s to 3s, but then they figured their stuff out, and they had a couple huge pressures from La Quintana, another multi-sack game for him. They've got a lot of playmakers that rose to the occasion, Connor. And as we look at this matchup later in the week between Laurier and Laval, that's going to be a huge piece to the puzzle. And with that, Connor, we have 1 game left. We actually have 1 game left. We've been saying it for like a handful of weeks now, but there is no more U Sports games after the Vanier Cup. It is the final showdown. We are almost out of time for the year. Laurier is moved on. They are certainly within reach of their season-long goal that we've heard Taylor and Coach Faltz talk about. Like, that's the ultimate goal, but we have to take it 1 step at a time. Well, there's only 1 more step to climb. And we'll talk about this later in the week, but they have a really good chance at climbing that final hurdle, getting over it and getting to the pinnacle, but a tough team in their way. So we will be back later in the week to discuss Glenn Constantin, Arnaud Desjardins, Olivier Cool, and the Laval Rouge et Or in this good matchup. But until then, check us out at CF Perspective, at OUA Sport, at Connor O'Neill, at Wade Zank. Enjoy the week. Before we get going, though, BioSteel is redefining sports hydration. As the official hydration partner of the OUA, they're supporting the next generation of Canadian athletes. Their zero sugar, high quality products help athletes perform at their best. Check out biosteel.ca/OUA for more information. Connor, they've got the whole country, it seems now, as the new U Sports partner. Can West partnered with them as well. So OUA, BioSteel, it's a great partnership. Make sure to check it out. We will certainly see you guys later in the week.